Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Savvy. Sorry, I'm laughing. It's so hot. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tayte for the monthly stream where we talk about everything we've been watching, film and TV related, going through any questions, bring anything. It's basically the monthly stream that we're bringing back. And we are, of course, talking about what we've been watching in July of 2024. It's now August. The year is flying by, and we've been getting back into the groove, I guess we can say. There's been a lot of new videos. We've got a couple of formats. We're testing some new things. There's been a lot of TV, hasn't there? But first of all, Tate, how are you doing on this clearly cold day?
Yeah, I should throw a jumper on or something. It's hot. It's so hot. It's been hot for a few days now. We can't really complain. We can only complain when we're recording, but we've got to make use of the good weather somehow. And my job is outdoors normally, so I've been working on my tan, and that's been very nice. But when it comes to the evening and it's still 29 degrees in my room, that's too hot.
Yeah, I work up here 5 days a week, and I'm on the third floor in a house. Heat rises, and it is. I've discovered in the last year, not ice baths because I'm not a professional footballer, cold baths like a normal person. And I'll tell you this, people, you ever struggling to get sleep in the heat, pour yourself on them, sit there for 20 minutes, and honestly, you'll be asleep within like half an hour. They're like the best thing I've ever invented, but the water bill. So, but yeah, it's the monthly stream where we're going to start talking about everything we've been watching, and we want to get people involved at home. So if you want to hear what you've been watching this month, please comment, whether it's film, whether it's TV. It doesn't have to be new stuff, old stuff too. I'll be talking about a lot of older films. I've been watching a lot of TV, as I kind of said, and I've started a series recently, and I don't say that too often. So I've got a couple of seasons I can talk about there, but we do want people involved. And if you want to find out about other videos, what else we're working on, go to get us on our social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Letterboxd, linktree.com/cinemasavvy. And if you check out our Instagram, we've had a lovely little reform on there. We're using square images now. We're hip with the kids. We've got reels that are starting to play clips from episodes. So it's all looking up Millhouse, I believe, is the Simpsons town before tragedy strikes. But yeah, Tate, we haven't planned this at all.
No.
Do you want to go first? Do I want to go first?
Yeah,
I mean, I know we've reviewed
first,
a lot this month as well, haven't we?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll start with TV, actually. We'll start with TV and we'll move on. Because I know that the last episode of House of the Dragon has leaked online. I will be watching that. Probably.
Clarification. I found out last night as I was doing some research.
Yeah.
The full episode did not leak. Several spoilerific scenes leaked, which I think is actually worse. So I've avoided them. I've heard there are spoilers floating around Twitter. But obviously,
I've seen one horrifying image which I can't talk about, but it's horrifying. But
it wasn't Lara Strong's foot, was it?
It wasn't Lara Strong's foot. No, it was a horrifying face, and I'd rather not talk about it.
Oh, okay.
So that is the show that I've been watching through. I know we've been watching through a few different shows. It was like The Acolyte and The Boys, and now House of the Dragon as well going on at the same time. For those unaware, I've also been doing a rewatch of Psych. Now, for those who don't know Psych, it was a show that was on USA TV channel. It's about a psychic detective. It's a nice filler piece. It's a nice, fun kind of villain of the week kind of, catch the bad guys kind of thing. Very over the top. And I loved watching Psych growing up. And it's one of those shows which I have gone back to a few times. However, this time round, and I know this has happened to many people because I've had chats with people about this. Do you know when you rewatch a TV show and you rewatch it a few times and then suddenly one time you rewatch it, it doesn't quite have the same appeal?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm starting to get that feeling with Psych. And I think it's because previously I've watched it really spaced out with its episodes. So I've watched it kind of like I'll watch one episode for one day and then I'll watch another episode in a few days' time and kind of spread it out so it's a little bit easier to manage. But because we're in the culture now where rewatching TV shows you can do online and you can binge them, you can go straight through them, it's not hit the same. It's almost too much. And I've done it like I feel like I've burnt out with the series. I've got through to series 6, which is one of the best series. It's when like they really develop the characters individually and they have some interesting moments. They have a good finale. But I've got halfway through the series and I've gone, do you know what? I need a break. I love this series. This series I've loved in the past. I've watched it through, but it's too much. I feel like I've done too much, and it was too much of kind of similar plot lines stretching across episodes, which you don't realize when you're watching it as a series, but when you're binging it, you absolutely realize it. So that was my monthly realization this month. I will go back to it. I will finish it. I don't like leaving a series unfinished. And, to plug that gap, I went and binged X-Men 97, which all I'm going to say is absolutely phenomenal. Episode 5 is one of the best Marvel TV episodes that they've put out across all of their things. Absolutely fantastic episode. Remember it. I'd highly recommend people go and watch it. I know that Aaron did. Our good friend Aaron did a video on it. And yeah, I'd recommend you go and watch, the entire series. And yeah, have you seen through 97?
No, I am. I can tell you on my TVs I'm watching now if you want. So I've started watching X-Men the animated series. So I never wanted to commit to 97 because I wanted to watch what came before. I know it aired the same time as Spider-Man did. I think the one I watched growing up. Never saw the X-Men show. I know the meme. I know the meme has been recreated recently by Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it to be like 3 episodes. It's like, the Leo pointing thing is done. Great.
Yeah.
Haven't found the Charles head thing yet.
There's a few memes. Yeah.
There's a few. I'm on season 3. I'm actually on the second episode of the Dark Phoenix, which is a 5 episodes arc. Fair play to animated show for committing to 5 episodes. It's one of the weirdest shows I've ever seen. I absolutely love a lot of it, but some of it is outright ridiculous. I know it's a Saturday morning cartoon. I'm not going to get in a twist about it, but I've heard wonderful things about X-Men 97. So I just want to get through the animated series. I'm on season 3, although I think 1 and 2 are the shorter seasons, so it gets longer. But I will be watching X-Men 97, and I believe season 2 will probably be out next year.
It is meant to be out next year, and I'll go ahead and say, because I've never seen... I think I've seen somehow the final episodes of the original X-Men animated series. I have no idea why I've only seen the final episodes, but I feel like I probably flicked on the TV once and they had it on as like a movie because it's like 3 or 4 episodes kind of spanning the final episodes. And I was like, I'll watch this. And, this is entertaining. I like X-Men kind of thing. But no, I went in pretty much blind to 97 and it's still an enjoyable show. They still do a good enough job of explaining where all the characters are at and kind of what the characters do. And it's a very good kind of show when you've got pre-context and they're able to kind of make it understandable for people who maybe don't know. They show off some of my favorite kind of X-Men who have been thrown to the wayside in recent years. Maybe not until this year, with one of my favorite X-Men of all time appearing in a film we'll talk about later. But yes. So I know that everyone was going to go and see... I'll move on to my movies now. Everyone was going to go and see Twisters this month. I haven't seen Twister 1. I haven't seen Twisters either. I was tempted to go see it in 4DX because I heard it was a bit of a rodeo.
It's back in 4DX.
Is it?
After 1 week of Deadpool, they've put Twisters back in 4DX by demand. I really want to go. I really want to go.
I might go see that.
In this weather, if they aircon it and just throw water on me, I'll be absolutely sweet.
Just the entire thing. Anyway, I've still got my hit of Daisy Edgar Jones with Where the Crawdads Sing, which I had absolutely zero context going into it. I had no idea what it was going to be about. And yeah, it's an interesting kind of murder mystery styled kind of slice of life kind of, have you seen it? Have you heard of it? Like, it was very popular last year. It was very popular. It came from a very popular book, and she plays the role very well, and so does, oh my God, Harris Dickinson is fantastic in the film, and he's fantastic in everything. Like, we've been raving about him on the channel for a while now. He's been brilliant in every single thing that I've seen him in. But no, it's an interesting twist at the end. I won't spoil it here for people who haven't seen the film, but the film basically is quite boring up until the context of the ending, which kind of throws a curveball, which makes you think back on the film and go, okay, I understand it a bit more now. So I came to terms with it towards the end. I then watched Devil Wears Prada because why not?
Still not seen it.
They announced there's going to be Devil Wears Prada 2, didn't they, this month? So had to go back and watch the first one. It's a great film. It's up there with kind of the original Mean Girls, and as kind of guilty pleasure films that you'd happily put on and watch and get along with and stuff like that. Brilliant performances all around. Can't wait for the sequel. Will be fantastic. Then trip to the cinema to go see A Quiet Place Day One, which not a massive fan of the series. I liked one. It's a fine film. I watched 2 last month. It was a film. I watched it. It was okay. This film, loved it. Great film. Drew in the suspense, liked the characters. Feel like I had a bit more heart. I know the first film had, kid deaths and, husband deaths and everything like that, but I feel like this kind of took it back to the human element of it. And the fact that we had complete unknowns made it kind of good again. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the quiet moments in a film that has loads of quiet. And yeah, I enjoyed kind of the context of the characters with one, not a spoiler here, but one kind of going in one direction and one very much going in the other direction concerning life, coming together and survival being a key thing. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I want to not talk about spoiler, but like, Digimon Hunsu's in it. I was like, oh my god, it's like a little mini Quiet Place Cinematic Universe gearing up. Didn't know if he was marketed, but I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was going to be bad, not because of trailers. I'd avoided them. There was very minimal marketing in the UK, minimal press. There was one screening like the day before it came out. The embargo was the day of release. Normally, all these things can come together and be quite negative. The film was a blast. Don't know why the studio didn't back it. It's already online. It made decent money for the few weeks it was at cinemas. They put it online. They crippled the box office. So I think the film, I say let down, it still made money. I'm pretty sure it still drew good profit for them. But it's nice to know that The Quiet Place can, and this one's really not dumbed down, but I'd love to see more of it, like different not worlds, but like let's go to not like Tokyo or something, but I'd love to go to a different continent. And maybe because they got it so right picking New York, the loudest city in the world, for A Quiet Place to happen, maybe it peaked it. But I wanted, because I've never really got a chance to talk to anyone about this, did you get War of the World vibes from it? Because it felt very much like Spielberg's War of the Worlds.
Yes, I got those.
And that's a good thing. To me, it's a really good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see a bit more of the actual day one because we saw it in Quiet Place Part 2. And this one, we had a bit more time dedicated to it, and it was kind of the entire stretch was across kind of the first 3 days and everything like that. But no, just that kind of initial impact, that initial kind of panic and stuff. I did get very much Spielberg vibes from, War of the Worlds, which I guess lends itself to the film. I think a lot of the camera work was very good and very kind of inventive with how they were able to kind of display the characters within their own settings and everything like that. So, no, I enjoyed it. It was a solid film from this year. It's a shame that, they didn't keep it in box office for a bit longer, but, what can we say there? So, then I went on a bit of a, let's watch some films, which two films I hadn't seen before. I'd never seen Law Abiding Citizen. Heard fantastic things about it previously. As kind of like a casual, easy watch with Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler. It's a great film. It gives you vibes of kind of like a more kind of action-styled Seven film, as like a thriller, kind of gearing towards that kind of audiences that enjoyed the Da Vinci Code and all of those kind of films and everything like that. There's a riddle to solve, but also you kind of know what's going on as it goes, and you're able to easily follow it. Bit like a more sadistic kind of murder kind of focused National Treasure film. It's it's a good film.
Ridley Scott?
Is it Ridley Scott?
I don't know. I might be getting mixed up something
else. Gary Gray.
Okay.
Who also did Straight Outta Compton, Fate of the Furious.
F. Gary Gray. Yeah,
F. Gary Gray. Then I watched Ticket to Paradise because I heard people enjoyed it last year. It's fine.
I really liked it.
It's not my cup of tea.
I hate those kind of films. I thought it was all right. It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been awful. It was okay.
Yeah.
That if we say at the bar it being completely fine and non-offensive, and I may watch it like again with my parents in like 30 years time, then sure. And then I rewatched Detective Pikachu. I wanted a bit of Ryan Reynolds before we went into Deadpool and Wolverine, and I thought, do you know what? Let's watch him play a different caricature and stuff like that. And I've been getting back into my Pokemon recently, and that was a really fun rewatch. I don't know, are they making another film? Because I really enjoyed it, and I really think it's a universe they should go back into, especially because they absolutely nailed the special effects on the Pokemon. They made them feel really realistic and fit into the world. I'd love to see more Pokemon battles take place, maybe follow kind of, similar to the series, following one trainer kind of going through the ranks, or even how they've done with the movies, taking on one legendary Pokemon or something like that. I feel like there's so much to do there and so much to explore in the world. But even in the world of Detective Pikachu, I'd love for them to go back into that world and go kind of, down that route, because I think the film, it made decent money. People really enjoyed it, had really good critical reception, had a good cast, and now that cast, I say, is even bigger. They've gone on to do kind of more films and everything like that. So, I'd love to see kind of more delving into that. Whether they've got anything lined up or anything like that, I'm not sure. I think there was rumors or murmurs that they were planning on something, but we haven't heard anything. So maybe the pandemic kind of put that back a bit. But yeah,
I'd love to see it. Maybe with Ryan Reynolds, now that Deadpool's out of the way, maybe his not schedule's going to gauge. Obviously, he's got the Wrexham thing, isn't it? Whether he'd need to be in it is my question, because you don't have to voice Pikachu anymore, Ryan Reynolds. I would love to see a sequel. I'm the same boat as you. I didn't have any expectation for the film. I went in, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like, they haven't made it look too cartoonish. They've made it look live action without being terrifying live action. It's translated really well on screen. I think Nintendo might have been involved, I'd imagine. Or
they were massively. So Nintendo and the Pokemon Company were involved massively.
Yeah. If it's something to do with Ryan Reynolds, now Deadpool 3 is out the way, maybe it's the sort of film he'd go back to. Because I feel like he's the kind of guy that would go back to stuff once he's ticked the next one off. That being said, he just pump out a lot of films these days. Yeah. But yeah, that's another one.
So then, bit of catch up. Monkey Man and Mean Girls. This year's Mean Girls, not old school Mean Girls. Monkey Man, I didn't expect the film to go that route towards the end. I thought it was going to be really, really kind of like heavy, kind of John Wick, The Raid kind of levels of kind of violent and everything like that, and go down that route. Instead, it went for kind of like emotional beats towards the end, which I just wasn't expecting, and that kind of, got very similar kind of vibes from like the end of the Tree of Life and stuff like that, like kind of reflection, and I wasn't expecting that. Good film. I do have some things with it. I feel like there wasn't enough balance between those kind of quieter moments in the action, and maybe if they'd done that a little bit better, then the action would have hit harder. I did like the kind of fight direction towards the end and everything like that, and it did feel like a well put together film. What did you think of Monkey Man? Because I know you've seen it.
I've got a bit of PTSD. I loved it, right? And it's near the top of my films this year. However, I've got to really flag this now because it's months later. If anyone is ever bored and wants to watch the review, have a look. I look very phased out. That night, I kid you not, I was at the cinema. I think it was a 8:30 showing. And, home at like 10:30, 11, very normal for me. I was wiped out. I had to record the review, edit it, upload it, right? And I was really not feeling great.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very ill. I literally hit upload and went to sleep. Woke up at 3 a.m. I had the worst food poisoning I've ever had in my life. And I can't trace it to anything. Obviously, it wasn't food at the cinema because I don't eat food at the cinema.
Yeah.
But my experience of Monkey Man is now, no joke, and for football fans, Arsenal v Man City was the next day. I think it was Easter Sunday. I was that badly ill. I was going to bed for 5 hours at a time and I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of bed. I had nothing in me. And I had to set an alarm to watch the Arsenal game, half asleep. I slept at half time. So wow. Monkey Man, I honestly don't have much of a recollection anymore because that weekend, now I know I was ill after, that's why I was feeling weird during that screening. But I remember really enjoying it. But I think I need to go back to it before the end of the year because I had it very, very high in my rankings for the year. And I really liked, for Dave Patel's first directorial film, I think it's remarkable because a lot of actors will go for a drama. They won't go for action. You get a lot of stunt guys that go for the action now. Former stunt coordinators going into action. You get a lot of actors going to drama because they know drama, but you very rarely get someone doing that sort of middle ground of both. And I think what he did, and I've got to shout out as well, I don't think it made much of the box office, but the fact it was originally going to get chucked on Netflix, and I think Jordan Peele's the one that vetoed that. that he helped get a cinema release is great. I don't know who saw it at the cinema. I don't know how big it was with that, but I liked seeing it at the cinema, and it definitely felt, as you said, right, you're expecting this John Wick type thing, but then the ending hits you with emotion rather than just action. So I'd want to go back to. I'm scared if I go back to, I'm just going to end up getting thinking I'm going to. Honestly, it wasn't like normal food poisoning. This was like my body was empty. There was not to be disgusting. There's yellow goo coming up, and I actually thought at one point I was ill, terminally or something. Because I've never had anything that bad. I lost 8 pounds that week, so thank you, diet. Which
Monkey Man was so good you vomited. There's the tagline for the review. Mean Girls 2024. I have major issues with this film, and it's not because the performances are not up to the standard that I would have liked. I feel like Renee Rapp playing
the best thing in
Regina is phenomenal.
The only good thing in it?
The only good thing in it, maybe. I think what doesn't help the film is the fact that you have to watch Mean Girls to understand the Mean Girls musical. And it's, especially if you're remaking a film, you cannot have that situation where you have to have context for it to make any sense as a musical. That's crazy. What's even worse is one of the best songs, Apex Predator, was kind of not sung how it's done from the stage production. And I've listened to the stage production soundtrack, I've listened to the score, and it's so powerful. Everything feels like a pop ballad. Everything feels really energetic. And in this film, it just fell really flat. Unless it was Regina singing or acting or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, Tina Fey had hands in production, was back in the film again. I don't know where it went wrong. I think the fact that the musical had good kind of reviews and kind of was quite popular, they thought they could get away with making the film. But I think, once again, people going to watch the musical would have seen the other film first. They wouldn't just go, oh, let's go to the Mean Girls musical, because they immediately have to go, oh, let's go watch Mean Girls first, and then let's go to the Mean Girls musical. So
they didn't even call it the musical. They didn't market it as a musical. Apparently, people sat down, saw people singing, and were leaving cinemas.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Mean Girls in a bit.
It doesn't, just very quickly, it doesn't help when in your trailer you're playing Olivia Rodrigo Getting Back instead of one of the songs from your musical. That's just...
This is the musical way now. They don't tell anyone it's a musical, so they sit down, they get mismarketed, they get up and leave. And apparently, I remember there being a really viral tweet with it. Now, my understanding, right, is didn't the musical only last on Broadway a few months because of COVID, which obviously isn't the musical's fault, which makes it even more bonkers. It got a a film adaptation so quickly. I know Renee Rapp's meant to be I'm so bad at modern music. I know she's kind of made it into music and that she's the biggest name in that cast and probably will be. And I think she was the original Regina George on Broadway.
She was, yeah.
Which is great. You're not doing it Evan Hansen and bringing someone back 20 years too old.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, Mean Girls 2024, the musical, it made me yearn for, musicals that have been successful over the last few years. And I know that musicals are winding down a bit. They're not as popular as kind of they have been in recent years. There was that time where we had The Greatest Showman, we had La La Land. You had a good string of them, even if I didn't enjoy Greatest Showman as much as I enjoyed La La Land. But, it seems to be kind of, falling away again and, not as popular, which is a shame because it's a good musical genre. West Side Story was great, apart from, the lead cast member,
Not just the personal stuff, performance too. The worst thing in the film.
Honestly, you replace him, that film's winning Best Picture, which is insane to say. You replace the lead actor. Everything else in the film is so phenomenally good. If you replace the lead actor in that film, the film is easily winning Best Picture, which is so insane. But yeah, moving on. A few more rewatches. So rewatched Paul. San Diego Comic-Con was on, so I was like, that's a film that has that in it. Rewatched Joker. because Joker Folie à Deux's coming out, so I was like, okay, let's give a rewatch of this. And
when you said Paul, sorry to, I've just think you meant Paul the alien.
Paul, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck's Paul? Okay, sorry.
that film that everyone kind of forgot about, which is
I liked it. I was like, oh my god, it's a new. I actually know the Cornet trailer. I was like, oh my god, it's Nick Pegg and Simon Frost.
Yeah,
I remember liking it.
Yeah,
not seeing it in about 10 years.
No, same. No, as soon as I put it on, I was like, oh, this takes me back. This is an okay film, actually. I was like, was it a good film? I can't remember. It's like as soon as I started, I was like, oh no, this was a good film. This was okay. I did a first watch of Manchester by the Sea.
Oh,
which is one of the only films I hadn't seen from that year of the Oscars. Way back when. I have no idea why I hadn't seen it. I mean, good acting performances all round. It's a bit of a slow burn film. I know that Casey Affleck won the Oscar. I know he's a bit, but it's still a good film. And, do I think it's kind of like, because a lot of people retrospectively are saying it was the strongest Best Picture film of that year, and retrospectively as well, people are saying that Casey Affleck has a shout for one of the best acting performances of the decade. I don't think so. I personally don't think so. Good acting performance, not one of the best in the decade. I think there are a few more performances across all of film from the 2010s which would kind of weigh that out massively. I'm looking, back at films like 12 Years a Slave and, that have powerhouse performances, even kind of all the way running up to, later on in the decade and everything like that. I don't know. Yeah. And I'm going to do it in this sequence. Okay. So I did a rewatch of 2 films today because of a film that we saw last week. The rewatch was Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. And the reason why I was rewatching those is because of the Foxverse. Now, I don't want to put this in as a spoiler. Some people may not have seen Deadpool and Wolverine. But to say that Fox is a love letter in that film, and, there are characters from Fox films that show up in a film that is no longer a Fox film. That's all I need to say. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Deadpool and Wolverine was fantastic, and it made me want to go back and do things like watch X-Men 97. It made me want to go back and watch, the previous Fantastic Four films. Take me back to the start. I've already done, my rewatch of all of the X-Men films. And on the channel, we've already had our Mount Rushmore of X-Men films. I want to go back and just enjoy those moments. And I'll be perfectly honest, Fantastic Four, not a bad film. Really enjoyed it. Why on earth is it a 2.5 on Letterboxd?
Can I give you a theory?
Yeah, go on.
Because there had been Spider-Man, there had been the X-Men, and naturally Fantastic Four. I would say Fantastic Four was bigger than X-Men in terms of comic book culture pre-films. Spider-Man, obviously, nothing's bigger than with respect to Marvel, but I think you always had, and the kids have say never gonna know this, Spider-Man was their MVP, then it was the Fantastic Four, then it was X-Men, then it was the Avengers.
Yeah.
Now the films have completely swiveled that. I still say Spider-Man's not bigger than the Avengers now, but as not an independent superhero. It sounds like it's a job. As a solo character, Spider-Man's the biggest of Marvel. In terms of pop culture, you have Spider-Man and Batman from comic book characters that sit at the top of any mountain. And I think people thought Fantastic Four was going to be exactly like those other predecessors, and it wasn't. Now, I was 8 or 9 years old. I remember going to cinema to watch it. I was very excited to see it. I loved it. I've not watched it in a very long time, but I never liked the second one, and I want to know your thoughts on that.
The first one's a great rewatch. The first one is a fantastic rewatch. The characters are built up so well. They give loads of time to for the individual character moments and their bonding and really making it into kind of them becoming a family as part of that first film, which I really enjoyed. Love kind of the different characters kind of all having very different lives then coming together in the end throughout their performances. Rise of the Silver Surfer. Well, I'll put it this way: the first film, I was like, "This is I'm really enjoying this. This is a proper throwback. I'm having so much fun here." And I was like, "Do you know what? I've got time. Let's just throw on the second one straight afterwards." I got so bored during the second film. It was such a mistake. It was like, "Oh, this is not as good as no, this is
They
this is not
switcheroo
good."
powers, right? I remember.
Yeah.
That's all I can remember. They switcheroo powers, and Galactus is a cloud.
Yep, Galactus is a cloud, which is awful. The Silver Surfer is a cool character, and I know they're going to have Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four First Steps film, and they're going to have Galactus as well, but I guess different kind of form of Galactus, actual physical Galactus.
So Finchy from The Office. That changes everything.
But, the Silver Surfer film, the set pieces aren't as good, the character moments aren't as good. It just doesn't feel as kind of wholesome and as put together. I remember distinctly it's burned into my mind, that first Fantastic Four film where Ben Grimm goes back, calls his wife, and stands on the corner, and she runs away. That was ingrained into my childhood, that scene. And it's stuff like that which the second film just doesn't have. The first film has all of those moments, has all of those amazing points where it brings them together, or it tears them apart, and really delves into the character work. The second film, the characters are already established, and therefore I don't think they flesh them out anywhere near as much. The wedding of Miss Fantastic and Susan Storm is meant to be one of the biggest comic book storylines of all time, one of the biggest comic book events of all time. We're talking like people back in the day were talking, it's up there with like Civil War, it's up there with like the Infinity Gauntlet saga and stuff like that. It was such a big event in the comics. To have that kind of displayed in this way in Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, it just doesn't stand up to what they were able to achieve the first film, which, by the way, second film 2.3. So apparently the first one was only 0.2 better than the second film. First film is a solid 3.5 out of 5. That's my own opinion of it. It's fine. It does nothing offensive. It suffices, and I feel like people are going to look back on it now after watching recent films and have maybe a bit more love for it. Maybe it'll be a bit like kind of the Star Wars prequels, where people hate it for a while and then they'll come back to it. And
I think it would have had it by now, because that came out the same year as Revenge of the Sith. But I do think when the new film comes out, I can sense it already. The month before it comes out, everyone will be rewatching the two Fantastic Fours, the Fantastic Four stick. Someone on something somewhere will say Fantastic Four stick wasn't that bad. And then there's going to be some edgy persons saying how they saw the 90s one. The new one, though, obviously I wasn't at Hall H in San Diego Comic-Con, but if you know where to find it, I think it looks, given what they put together, and the film had been filming officially for like 3 days. Obviously, it's clearly had doubles, and they've clearly been doing previs. The trailer looked very good for something.
The vibe looks so cool.
Yeah, and for something that has like no real footage, like as in it's how they even got that together, is fair play. I cannot wait. And I know there were some set photos online in the last couple of days too from Pinewood, so I've got a lot of optimism for this new one. I love the 60s vibe. And like I guess all the other Fantastic Fours, there's going to be a new Doctor Doom. Swiftly moving.
We have to talk about it, don't we? This is the part.
Want to talk about it now or later?
Let's talk about it now. Let's get it out of the way, because
I will tell you this, right? This will go down quite comfortably. Oh no, shall I form this nicely for the YouTube Instagram shorts?
Yeah, go for it. Here we go.
Sorry, that's the new thing we're trying. There's actual reason to get us on Instagram now. We're going to do shorts. Okay, my thoughts on the Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom casting. This will go down as one of the greatest decisions in comic book history, or one of the worst. I don't feel like there'll be an in-between. The man's getting paid roughly $100 million and having his own like theme park of trailers on set. If anyone's ever been to Pinewood, I know exactly where they'll be parked next year. And there's the rightful conversation. There's not been a Romani actor. It's an Eastern European character. Mads Mikkelsen is the go-to. Oh, you can't pick Mads. He's already been in Marvel. Well, you know who you just cast instead? Someone that's already been in Marvel for about 10 years, who is the face of the studio. I'm going to let them have the chance to tell the story. But right now, at this point in time, I'm as optimistic as I was pre-Deadpool Wolverine about Logan returning. So I'm not overly fond. And I'll add this. Robert Downey Jr. post Oppenheimer, I was expecting not to go back to Marvel. Sorry, that's just what I thought.
I will add on to that he has enough acting range to do a different character. Now, I know that Doom is described as having very similar characteristics to Tony Stark. He is arrogant, he is a talker, but he's kind of evil and sometimes toes the line between kind of, not even hero, but definitely anti-hero / villain, mainly in the villain side of things. This, like you said, is a 50-50 split. This is either phenomenal casting and a genius masterstroke to not even save Marvel, because I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine has definitely pulled it out of the pit just a little bit.
No Way Home made just under $2 billion. Guardians 3 made like 800 million.
Critically, shall we say, not commercially, but critically, it's been on a bit of a rough slide, and it could go so well, it could go so wrong. It could be, dare I say, as bad as trying to keep Kang on and really kind of ruin Marvel, because it's a brave move to turn around to the actor who's gone and done horrible things and just go, no, we're completely cutting your storyline, we're cutting our losses here, and we're going to have to try and recover it. It's even braver to go and double down on who was your biggest star, your biggest hero, or at least one of your biggest heroes for a good chunk of years, to then turn them into the biggest villain and have them as a variant and use that kind of way of doing it. Now, I know that Tony Stark and, Victor Von Doom, they've had the same face in the comics before. There has been, Iron Man dressing up and playing Doom, and there's been a Doom variant who's been like Tony Stark and everything like that. Don't know how they're going to play it like that. Whether they're going to show him with the mask off at any point, who knows?
Oh, of course they will. It's Robert Downey Jr. The one thing I'll say, right, it's given the internet some absolutely incredible memes. I've seen the Tropic Thunder, just a dude playing a dude disguised as a dude. Someone's done that with Doctor Doom's face slapped on it. I've seen the Ryan Gosling Black Panther meme resurface in the last week. The social media reaction to this casting has been absolutely incredible. And listen, I'm in that bit, like, if they put it off, great. It's so tricky to get it right, and I do hope that they've thought of this before the money. The only thing I kind of add to it is that I don't have knowledge of Fantastic Four comics growing up. I know that Doctor Doom is, he owns the country, Latvia. He is like a messiah. He has his own followers. RDJ can do all that, but I personally would have liked, knowing that it's going to be a one and done for the MCU, right? I personally would have liked to have seen someone trying to do it traditionally. I get the logic of Robert Downey Jr., but I personally don't. Right now, at this point in time, I feel like it could backfire. The Russos are back.
We'll see.
It's about we'll see. I'd bet you money now. I'd imagine I imagine he cameos at the end of Fantastic Four, because they ain't got long. They ain't got long before it gets to Doomsday.
Well, yeah, because the film timeline now is, what would it be? It'd be is Thunderbolts first, or is it
Captain America, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four,
Doomsday, and then straight
probably Spider-Man 4, I reckon, and maybe Secret Wars. There's only one Blade. That's technically Blade is on the slate.
Blade is on the slate, and so many TV shows. There are so many TV shows at the moment.
Yeah,
but thankfully, no Marvel TV shows at the moment. Let's calm down a bit, which is...
You say that, but the Agatha Christie?
Agatha Christie all along.
The Agatha show starts very soon. The same week as Penguin. I know what I'll be watching. But yeah, any other films?
No, that is me done. Well, apart from, Deadpool and Wolverine. But go and watch our review for that.
How was the rewatch?
The rewatch, well, for those who don't know, Swindon is a horrible, horrible place, which I've been living for most of my life. And the cinema goers there are probably one of the most unenthusiastic crowds you'll ever be at a cinema. Not a peep. A couple of laughs, but the laughs weren't at the kind of cutting edge humor, like the stuff that, in jokes and various different things. Like in the film, not a spoiler once again, there is a joke made about Hugh Jackman's divorce, which got probably one of the biggest laughs in the press screening. Did not a peep in my screening, and I was just sat there, just like, oh, it hit so well the second time around, and not a peep, not a peep. So I definitely had a different experience as far as who was there in the cinema, and that definitely makes a difference. And I know that, you know, I'm not a big fan of, you know, the whole American cinemas, you know, people getting up and cheering and stuff like that. Some things, event films like this are warranted. You know, you can get up and you can cheer for a moment, and you can kind of clap for a moment, and you can laugh heavily at the jokes and everything like that. I want to have a bit of an animated cinema when it's a comedy film. I want to hear some laughs, otherwise you're just kind of the only one giggling in the corner. But I mean, you know, we've talked about our experience at the press screening, which was fantastic. We didn't actually show off everything, like the beer that, you know, they kindly gave us and stuff like that, which I still haven't drank. And the various different things that we had on that.
We wore these.
Yes, the egg. And the photos, which I won't show out of. George is on the photo there, and
yeah, just terrible fashion choice. No, actually, I'll blame where the camera cropped.
Yeah, but there were some things that we didn't even get to do. Like there was a photo booth there, which there was a massive queue for that people can go and do. They had the Xbox with the Xbox controller with the Deadpool buttocks on it, which was fantastic.
And if you go on Instagram now and follow, this isn't, by the way, them telling us to tell this people, but I saw it. If you go on to Marvel UK and Xbox UK, follow them both. You can enter the competition to actually now win the Xbox and controller. So if there are any games in here, which I know there are, because I can see Carl in the comments. If you want to try and win that, go on their channels, because I've done the same. I'd like to win it.
And then on top of that,
go in my cabinet.
They had a full exhibition. They had a DJ playing stuff at the front. You know, there was so much going on, cosplayers, just everything. You know, it was a good event that they managed to put on. But on second watch, bit of a different kind of vibe and stuff like that. It's still a good film. It still lands, and I'm probably going to watch it again because I know that I'll have to watch it with my dad at some point, maybe a little bit further down the line. But you know, it still hits, and it's the one thing that we've been saying about all the previous Deadpool films. Do they hold up on a second viewing? Do you still laugh at the jokes? This film, yes, 100%. The jokes hit well the second time round. Some things that I noticed the second time round, like, and this isn't really a spoiler, but this is an interesting point. There is a Secret Wars comic that flashes across the screen when they first enter the void, which kind of floats through, which was very interesting that was there, hinting at maybe future events involving those characters. But we will...
now we know.
Yeah, we will see. Well, I wonder if they're able to bring back all of the Fox first for that. That would be...
I think we'll only get Wolverine Deadpool, and they'll make a joke of that.
I mean, if they can bring back, you know, Jessica Alba, or you know, any of the ones from that, anyone from any of, you know, the Fox films.
No one's off the board for Secret Wars.
No one's off the board.
I will be there championing Tobey Maguire in the corner.
100%.
If I don't get Tobey Maguire linked up with Hugh Jackman, then they have failed.
Just a full Spidey gang going out again.
Just get them two together for 3 seconds, please. Take a photo. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm going to read some comments before I go from on. I watched a lot this month. Michael, I'll go for yours first. Blade is one he's interested in, but he's not interested in the MCU. He didn't think RDJ would go out to Marvel, and he's not seen either Fantastic Four films. Obviously, the 2015 one too.
I haven't seen the 2015 one. That might be my next watch, although I'm really dreading it.
He's not seen Paul in 10 years. Welcome to the club. And he thought it was more violent, and that's Monkey Man, I think. We've got a couple from Carl. Best film we saw last month was Bad Boys Ride or Die. I heard it was entertaining. I've not ever seen a Bad Boys film. His least favorite was Long Legs. Now, I've not seen it. I've heard the hype around that film. I know a lot of people have seen it. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people say it's overhyped. I will catch it eventually. I just wasn't really too bothered about going to the cinema for it. And he recommends Safety Not Guaranteed, which is based on the true story of someone who put an advert in the paper asking for help with building a time machine.
I've seen that. That's a great film.
Has that got Aubrey Plaza in?
That has Aubrey Plaza in. That's a great film. I like that.
Okay. Right. Are we bracing ourselves for what I've seen this month? We have to give a bit of context.
Here we go.
So obviously, I'm going to start off with TV Like You. Sydney Acolyte. Very much liked it. So The Boys. Very much liked it. You can check out our videos on them. X-Men animated series I mentioned earlier. I'm up to season 3. It's very weird. I'm sort of enjoying it. It sort of works as background. It's great to watch while I've been editing. So And I'm curious to see how it goes into X-Men 97, as in just watching the entire thing over the next few months. Have I watched any other TV? I feel like I have, but I'm missing something.
Have you
really
finally
obvious.
watched The Bear, or are you still?
No, I've still not seen The Bear season 3. I need to. I have not even. I don't really watch the Olympics. That doesn't really count as TV, but I feel like I've seen
the Olympics. Yeah.
I feel like. Have you seen about Tom Cruise at the Olympics?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's a spoiler for the closing ceremony, but they filmed a sequence at the Olympic Stadium where Tom Cruise abseils down, takes the torch, and he will carry the Olympic flag to LA and skydive onto the Hollywood sign. So I'm guessing that's your closing ceremony, Ethan Hunt, James Bond-esque. But that explains. And listen, I'm not going to do conspiracy theories. Guess who was with Tom Cruise at the ceremony? It was Steven Spielberg. But a lot of celebrities were at the opening ceremony. So let's not make it out to me more than it could be. But maybe they have it a reunion of sorts. Okay, TV. All right, I'm just going to say that was it because I feel like I watched a lot of TV whilst not. Let's go to film. So if anyone wants a bit of context, this month I had a bit of time off work, thank fuck. I have not watched a lot of films recently with family stuff, so these episodes have been very short and I've been on them. And I was like, I've got a week off in July. I'm going to start catching up. A bit of context. Lego Barad-dûr is behind me. You can see the Eye of Sauron gleaming in the background. It's great, isn't it? You can just move your head and Sauron appears. So I had a week off work and I just needed a week to chill. So I obviously had the Lego set ready. And I, like last year with the Venator, which is on my... There you go. Lovely. I was like, okay, let's catch up to 2024 film releases. So I had my own little festival. I'm going to do the usual, give you the dates. And I also have, you can't see it, but I've got Lego Dune, the ornithopter. And that is because that's just been sat in my room waiting to be built for months. I've got a really cool wall pack for it. So it's, what's the word? It's like hanging vertically on the wall, which is very cool. It's terrifying because it looks like it's going to fall off every time. But so I'll give you the dates when I watch these as well, so you can just see how much time I spent building Lego. Okay, 4th of July. Didn't do a review for this. Oh god, I can't remember the name. Axel at the moment. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. The new Beverly Hills Cop film came out on Netflix. It was okay. I watched them all in COVID. I remember doing reviews on them. I didn't bother doing a review on this. I didn't see the need to. It was fine. It was entertaining. It was nice to see Eddie Murphy back. Dropping it on Netflix. That film, someone's like, oh, it would have made so much money. Probably wouldn't have. The Asian comedian back to old roles don't tend to work out financially, but people will find entertaining things from that film. It's full of loads of little cameos and throwbacks. But do you know what did surprise me about that film?
No.
Oh my god, I've forgotten it's his name. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt appeared, like he's in the main role. I was like, I've not seen Joseph Gordon-Levitt in anything for fucking ages. And like a supporting role in this, and like if he's getting back into acting, great. Anyway, that was the 4th of July. Now it's proper Lego time. 5th of July, the double bill, Civil War followed by Challengers. Loved both of these films. Civil War was great. I didn't really know what... I knew it was about a civil war, a fictional civil war. I knew it wasn't primarily about the war. It was about a photographer, and I thought it was quite eye-opening, and I thought it was very good.
Civil War is currently my joint top of the year at the moment.
It's probably in my top 10. I thought it was very good. It's going Challengers. Unbelievable score. You're the tennis guy, not me. Listen, and then I laugh. Like, he's won all the opens, and I'm like, but it's West Side Story. I thought Challengers was great. It's sadistic. It's very. I'd like to rewatch it. I think if I rewatched it could go a bit higher. I have listened to the soundtrack a lot. I'm really not kidding. The memes. The
soundtrack made no sense for me though.
And it makes no sense, but that's why it's so equally as good.
It's like the weirdest tennis soundtrack you could possibly ask for.
It sounds like the Social Network. I know it's obviously the same composers, but it's almost like Ping. It's not a tennis score at all.
No.
That's why it doesn't. That's why it works better because it's so outrageously.
It's so funny. All the reviews I've seen of other people saying it's like, oh, they made tennis sexy. It's like, what are you talking?
Didn't Wimbledon do a highlight reel like with the music as well?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and Zendaya was at the final, so
Yeah, and she did do the whole cheer, you know. She did that. Come on! It's like, okay.
See, she's in on it. You've got to give her credit. I've become a big Zendaya fan. And she's
Well,
the safe
you've only just become a big Zendaya fan.
No, not really. Only just. I've not watched Euphoria. One of my friends at work always says I should watch it. I've seen a lot of the clips online. The only funny thing, a TV show I didn't talk about, Cobra Kai.
Oh God, yeah, that existed.
Because the only thing I always laugh at is Euphoria and Cobra Kai would technically be, the cast would be in the same year at school. So you look at the hardcore drugs raging Euphoria and all that, and then you've got Cobra Kai karate stuff. And I would, if they could coexist in the same school, great. But now I've heard that I can't take either seriously. But also I can't take Cobra Kai seriously because there's a 28-year-old playing 17-year-old. Okay. 6th of July, day trip to London. Watched Mean Girls the musical at home after. Same boat as you. Didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. I'll give it credit. The only thing I liked was Rene Rapp. And I actually, as bad as this is, to do a remake in 2024, the TikTok stuff worked well because that would happen at school. But there was too much of that. And you can't do that at a musical. So
it was fun seeing John Hamm just randomly be there.
Yeah. I've got another John Hamm role to talk about as well.
Yeah, he was just there.
Then I've got an even weirder double bill. Love Lies Bleeding. Finally caught that.
Ooh, is it good?
It was good.
I've heard, yeah.
I thought it was very good. People were on crack that said it was like Taxi Driver. Not that at all. It's almost like a thriller meets a drama. It's not about bodybuilding as much as people made out. But it is definitely more of a situational drama, which I think is more interesting than what people made out to be. Kate O'Brien's incredible in it. I think she's going to have an absolute insane. And not just because she's the Mandalorian, but it seems like she's getting cast in a lot of things, and she's working with a lot of good directors, and she's moving up and up and up. I think she's going to have a pretty decent career in the coming years. I then followed up with the Bob Marley film. Listen,
I've heard.
My music knowledge is bad, right? My music knowledge is bad. So I know nothing about Bob Marley, bar the song from I'm Legend. And I thought the film was thoroughly boring. But what I would say, as someone that knows nothing about it, it felt very paint by numbers. Like, even though that knows pretty much nothing, I didn't really felt like I learned anything about him watching the film. Not a problem with the performances. The performances were good, but the film, not so. It was like a greatest hits, like, I'm not going to do an accent, but it was like, I don't know.
Here's One Love, here's Buffalo Soldier, you know.
But it was like, here's something that happened. Immediately writes the song that they're going to then sing for 3 minutes. And it's, do you know what I mean? It'd be like if in Bohemian Rhapsody, it's like cleaning the house, and then they drop the music video to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, so that was that night. And then on the 8th, triple bill. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is now streaming on Prime Video here in the UK. Entertaining, watchable. Henry Cavill's in it. 2 Henry Cavill films came out on the 25th of July, but the world will never forget. Only in the UK, because this came out in April in America. Would have probably done maybe not okay numbers at cinema, but it's sad to see it trucked on Prime. Sad to see it trucked on Prime here when it's available to watch in America legally with a VPN for everyone. So
it's what's his face? Guy Ritchie. He did that with Ruse the Good, didn't he?
He's on an MGM deal.
So now, he's on an Amazon deal. Okay.
Yeah. Make of this what you will, people, but Henry Cavill has now been in an advert with DB5. He's now played the guy that apparently Bond was based off. Basically, Alison Hightower's brother plays Ian Fleming in it. So there's a bit of House of Dragon references there. It's got the guy from Jack Reacher, the ripped guy that's humongous.
Yes, I know.
It felt very Guy Ritchie, and a lot of it worked. Obviously, inspired by real events. Damon has written the book, which caught me off guard, but yeah, it's on Amazon. I think if you want to film for 2 hours, it'll just breeze by. That'll do. It'll entertain a lot of people. A lot of people know it exists. I'm not missing out anything. Later that day, still building the Lego at this point, I watched Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic. Quite comfortably one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen. And you know me, I don't go in on films, right? I tend to, like, Is there anything?
You find the redeemable
remarkably-
things in films.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
like even though I just slagged off the Bob Marley film, this film made the Bob Marley film look like the Oppenheimer of musical biopics.
Well, I was going to say, you didn't really slag off the Bob Marley film. You just said it was
No,
boring,
it's
and
just
that's
paint by
probably
the numbers.
that's usually as kind of far as you go. To say this is
I'm
bad,
tired.
you know.
I'm tired of the musical biopics where, not just because of Bohemian Rhapsody, but it's like every musician gets one. And the only one, I mean, listen, the Queen one was always going to work, right? Even though I don't think it's aged well.
It's awful.
Cannot deny how great the Wembley sequence is. But it's the Wembley sequence because it's the Wembley sequence. And you got Rocket Man, which was the only one where it's like, let's do a musical. Let's not do the career in order. Let's pinpoint a certain time in his life, which was quite comfortably the best of these musician biopic films. Thank God we're not getting
Rocket Man is
one.
phenomenal.
Yes,
really good.
And big fan of Rocket Man. Back to Black. She's dealing with Amy Winehouse, right? And this is what's kind of sad. Like, I don't talk about musicians. Like a lot of people, I remember the day she died. Completely coincidental. This was the last day I was 27. So there was a very weird moment. I was like, oh shit, like I'm not in the 27 club. As in, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I'd forgotten. And this film, I think where it sickens me is knowing that the real life dads had a lot of creative control in making this. And if anyone knows much about her life, you can look at the people that were responsible for, you know, not letting her be the way she was, because that's sort of disrespectful to them as well as her.
Yeah.
But this film absolutely makes no efforts to try and even, I don't even know, like just making this film is just disgusting. Like to do this to her. The worst is Jack O'Connor gives an okay performance as Blake, but it's like, Blake wasn't that bad a guy, you know. Her dad was sound, you know. They fucking weren't. And this film, it's just disgusting.
Go watch the Amy documentary instead, I guess.
Wow. That was what I watched minutes after. As soon as it finished, I'd never seen the Amy documentary because I put myself off it because I get a bit upset with stuff like this, but because a lot of people know the story, it's like, do I want to see this? But it was on the list to one day watch, as if Kapadia did it. He, of course, directed Senna, which is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. And the Amy documentary is genuinely incredible. It makes this disaster film look even worse because there is nothing you would need to ask or want to know that wasn't covered in the documentary. But what the documentary did in a reverse way, it exposed the bullshit from the film even more. And something I find incredibly sadistically funny is the dad signed off on As If Kapadia making the Amy documentary because of how much like the Senna documentary. And then when he watched the Amy documentary, he was furious that it painted the dad in a bad light when the dad exploited his daughter. And again, what happened to her is one of, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest tragedies in music history. The industry is as responsible as the people close to her in her life. Her entire music is essentially written about, not like, an ex-boyfriend, not some Taylor Swift nonsense of 100 boyfriends disappearing and it's one by one. This is like emotion on, that's the music. It's her life is her music. So I can understand why when she's gone clean, when she's gone sober, they're trying to put her on a tour and she's singing about the people that she's had to work hard to get out of her life, why it puts her back into those spells. And the documentary did a great job of not explaining that, but presenting that. The whole thing's just a really tragic thing. And I felt a bit sick watching back to back. Just because the worst thing is, because I've got a Cineworld card, back in April when I went to watch wrestling at the NEC, I booked a cinema ticket for a film that would finish at the same time as wrestling, so I could park at the cinema to get £1 parking rather than pay £20.
Was it Back to Black? Yeah.
It was Back to Black. So I've actually contributed, which kind of makes it worse. So anyway, the Amy Winehouse double bill was done. And as I said, the documentary, yes. Film, fuck off. Then it was my birthday, and listen, I'm off work. Family, a lot of my family's away. A lot's happened. I woke up, literally didn't really do anything. I watched the first Twister film. Well, I'm still building the Lego. I had no idea who was in it.
Kevin
I've
Bacon,
never seen it. No, Kevin. No, it's
Am I thinking? What was the one?
You're thinking of the one where they come back to life.
Is that the one? The worms. Tremors. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
he was in
maybe.
Tremors.
I've never seen Tremors. So Twister had Bill Paxton, Helen
okay.
Hunt, a very young Philip Seymour Hoffman, the guy from Jurassic Park too, Carrie, I can never pronounce his name, Carrie Ewes, EWLES, the one that was in Mission Impossible last year. There's a lot of names in this, and it was great. I had a great time watching Twister. I thought it was really insane. Conhead himself, Alan Rook, was in it. And because of what I'm accustomed to of disaster films, all these names are bringing us like, he's going to die. None of them did. Because it's not about a tornado killing people, which really caught me off guard. So I had a blast with the first Twister film. I'd have loved to have seen it on the big screen. I wish they'd have re-released it. I didn't realize how big it was in '96 as well when it came out. And then I followed watching Twister with a great documentary, Jim Henson Idea Man, which is on Disney+. And that's a documentary about Jim Henson, of course, creator of the Muppets. So many things. Henson Studio, you think of the Muppets, you think of Sesame Street. Obviously, it's got like Frank Oz in it. It was a really interesting documentary on Disney. Quite eye-opening into his process as a creator, what he was doing with his life. Really, really touching documentary. So I recommend that to any film fans that want some really nice like behind-the-scenes stuff or look at production type things. So that's my Lego experience done. That's the 9th of July. I've just listed every film. Then it's back to normal, not watching too many. On Saturday the 13th, I watched the film Unfrosted. Have you heard of this?
This is the Pop-Tart film, isn't it?
Yes. Do you want to know the highlight of the film?
Is it Hugh Grant as Tony the Tiger?
No, it was Donald Trump almost got assassinated halfway through, so I got to pause it to not watch it for half an hour to watch the news. That's how bad this film is that I needed an excuse to turn it off. The only person that thought Unfrosted was funny was Jerry Seinfeld, and that's because he directed it.
Yes.
It's that bad. Listen, Hugh Grant's in it, but it's that whole, we saw Paddington 2 get him in for a quick one. We saw Gentleman get him in for a quick.
It's a very interesting thing because Jerry Seinfeld, I have seen clips from Seinfeld. I've watched Seinfeld a little bit. I don't know if it's because I'm British and we have a very different sense of humor. I can never fully understand why he was at one stage the highest paid comedian on the planet.
I can. Do you want to know why?
Go on.
Because Larry David was co-writing it.
Oh.
I've never watched an episode of Seinfeld, but I'm telling as someone that's watched the entirety of Curb, Larry David clearly is the brains of the two. Yeah. And you would never think he was in it because he was. I know George is a character. George is basically Larry David writing himself fictionally in Seinfeld, and apparently George is everyone's favorite character in Seinfeld. And then he just made Curb Enthusiasm instead for 20 years. So, I would like to watch Seinfeld one day. I do admit I do want to watch it, but it's a lot of episodes, and I've been watching a lot of Friends this month because my sister's sort of living with us at the moment, and she's a massive Friends fan, and it's on every night, and I love watching Friends. So, yeah. Sorry, 19th, I watched Twisters. I had a blast at the IMAX. I was meant to be seeing it again with a friend, but that's going to be somewhat delayed. Not going to be 4DX. I would like it to be 4DX, but it's not going to be. On the 20th, it's starting to get into. You'll see a bit of a trend now. I watched Logan because I want to revisit a couple of films before Deadpool. Logan still obviously is Logan. Can't really add what I've already said. 21st, First Class. Still one of my favourite scenes ever, which is Michael Fassbender in the Argentinian bar. Love, First Class, everything about it. 24th, on the train down to London, because I had to work in Birmingham. I got a 2-hour train journey for once. I got to, I had a choice out of Garfield or Deadpool, so I watched the first Deadpool film. I kind of said to you, I think, at the doors to the cinema, it was all right. Like, I didn't like it the second time I saw it, but it's been better now. Yeah. So Deadpool, the first one, it's all right. I'm going with that. I don't think it's bad now. I think some of the jokes have held up very well. The story's held up a bit. Then I also watched Deadpool Wolverine, get the reviews on that, loved it. And then the 29th, like 2 days ago, 2-3 days ago, I watched Deadpool 2.
Hasn't held up as well, has it?
I didn't like it at the time. I thought, like the first Deadpool, maybe like it was me. I just felt nothing.
The only scene that really holds up is X-Force, but apart from that...
Yes, the X-Force scene is fucking incredible. And I will never forget, I didn't know Brad Pitt was in it until we did the spoiler review on this channel. and someone pointed out, I can't remember, and it was like Brad. I was like, yeah, Brad Pitt was in this film, and he was.
I guess the context of Peter as well, tying into Deadpool and Wolverine.
I did wonder. I'm not gonna lie. I turned off the credits. I was like, hold on a minute. Peter lost his arm, and then I went back to the credits, and Peter's got a scene where they save him. So that,
and also Shatterstar's also saved and alive, and because he's there, isn't he?
I don't like the credit scene still. I'm curious. There's a Celine Dion cameo in Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
Is it Deadpool? I didn't see it. Like,
no, I mean the song is in Deadpool 2.
Was it the? Basically, I saw a clip on Twitter. No, ignore me. Ryan Reynolds made a debut. It's basically a video's going around on Twitter last week, and it ended with Ryan Reynolds clapping alone in the cinema like Shia LaBeouf. And then he goes, I'm just going to get NSYNC. And they have a spat. But it was him in Deadpool costume, and it was Celine Dion in a role. I don't know if it was that weird Deadpool 2 extended edition. I didn't know if it was like some viral marketing. But whatever the scene is, maybe it's the music video. Whatever the scene is, he was correct. Because what's the opening song of Deadpool 3, which everyone's talking about? Bye, bye, bye. So... lovely little tease there. But yes, everything I watched. I watched a lot this month. I probably won't watch as much in August, but I've got a couple.
I probably won't as well. Honestly, mainly because I like to watch a lot of my films either on my computer or on my projector, and the projector runs hot. It is too hot to watch films at the moment. I can just about stomach, watching the Olympics downstairs. I might put the projector outside for it, if it's nice enough weather. But honestly, it's too hot to do anything else at the moment.
No, I'm with you on that. And like in a
other than Twisters in 40x, where I would cool you down.
I've seen videos on Instagram of people watching it, and like I would really like. Yeah, like some of them are comedians, but I've seen videos of people in the cinema, and the seats are like listen, Godzilla. If it's going to be like Godzilla -1, the atomic breath sequence, but for 2 hours, I'm in. But it's gonna have everything. It's gonna have water. It's gonna have air. It's gonna have it's just got the film's got everything, and I'd like to see it in that 4DX. The 4DX, I say near me. My nearest 4DX it's like a 45-minute, 50-minute drive, and it's a bit of effort to go into central Birmingham. Can't really be asked.
Well,
I did it for the Phantom Menace.
They've decided not to close the 4DX Cineworld in Swindon. They've closed the other one instead.
Yeah, I mean, thank God I'm not talking about 25 cinemas shutting. I would say thankfully it's still bad at 6, but let's hope it's only going to be 6. But yeah, that's everything we've watched. People at home, comment with what you've been watching this month. If we've missed anything, if you think we're watching crap films, good films, you've got recommendations for us, do comment them. We'll have a look. If you like this video, then of course hit the subscribe button. We've got a lot more. We do these streams every month. We go through any questions people have. It's been a busy month. There's been a lot of TV shows, as we said, so we're getting back into the groove of films. Next thing you know, it's going to be Oscar season, award season, festival season. Then you're going to have some new big releases. We've got some new shows. We've got the Mount Rushmore series, which we're working behind the scenes. First episode is more of a glorified pilot, and we wanted to get out just before Deadpool Wolverine came out. So we are going to look at implementing it as a series. I mean, I don't mind saying it's live. It's either going to be like 10 episodes weekly, and then we'll have a break for a bit, like a season, or we might do it every 2 weeks and stagger it out. So we are working on it. If you haven't seen it, check it out on the homepage. It's a bit different to what we've done. It was a nice, chill discussion with Aaron on that. We are working on the X-Men ranking video. That's going to be a big one when it goes up. So it takes a bit longer to do those, which is why we've got to do the Mount Rushmore one first. But there will be Alien Romulus is in my head the biggest film of August. I know I'm seeing the Star Wars films.
You've got Borderlands, which looks like a complete shit show, which could be interesting because it looks like a complete
Trap. You ready for Trap?
Which looks,
you ready for this? Good. The UK review embargo is next Friday, the 9th of August. The day it releases in the UK at 9 a.m. However, in America, the film releases for the public on the 2nd. So the UK review embargo is a week after the film is out in most of the world.
What's the point?
Well, that is the point. They don't want anyone talking about it.
What's the point? But people are going to hear about it. That's the whole.
Tame. All I'm saying is that means tame your expectations. But I'm still going to watch it because it's M. Night and they're either really good or really bad. But I feel like the streak might be over.
Brilliant.
But yeah, there's a lot more to come. But everyone watching at home, thank you for watching as always, for commenting along. As I said, we've got more reviews. We'll be doing House of the Dragon. That's probably the next big review I can think of. There might be some others. We mentioned Alien, we mentioned Trap. I definitely feel like there's some more things in August. There's probably another TV show missing. D23 is the week after next. I'm going to try and cover that because that should be quite big. But aside from that, Tate, anything else we're missing?
No, I think we've covered most things there. Yeah.
Lovely. And also, everyone, thank you for getting us to 3,000 subscribers. Not bragging too much because we're just hovering over that number. So it's like not that safety window yet because we know what YouTube's like. But thank you to everyone that's obviously not just watched and commented but supported us for a very long time. We've been going, just 9 and a bit years now, which is ridiculous that we still get to do this. And, like I said, this week we've utilized Instagram. So it's one of them. We're still learning new things. Not doing TikTok, though. Never. But that's going to round out this stream. So once again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.